This is Black with No Chaser Radio.
You are a representative of the black community.
Out of the ashes, the way it ascended deserve flame emojis. How I show all this drive without crashing, how I notice the lies without spazzing. Lord, give me the strength to not retaliate or lash out. I'm watching niggas throw stones inside a glass house, but I get the picture, we've been living in a madhouse. So when it get dark, we might have to bring the flash out. Car, chains, and cash out. Now I don't listen to a nigga till he cash out. Dye my hair red like Lil Boat to bring the mask out. If I go broke, then bring the cast out, so we can shoot a show about reality that don't really show them our reality. Sympathy without the experience is a fallacy. That's why Nip had to die for immortality.
Of me fade away. Don't know why I'm falling, but I'm falling. Could be the ride or the sun, casting these shadows. I'm still there. Reflections of me fade away. Right through the whispers. Moses was wondering if the people doubt him. Martin could no longer watch the sheep burn. If your belief turned, get killed by your own people. Malcolm, if Jesus doubted whether God would see about him, he taught me watch the ones I keep around when they hear rumors question why the enemy around them. Bring it back.
Mr. Green, you turn on my you asked for me if you would.
These parents teaching their kids.
but they'll stand by the hearse for me. One hand on my casket, the other hand hold they hurt for me. Perhaps they might grasp it firmly for all of eternity. In fact, that's the only worry that's truly concerning me. Bring it back. All the parables I shared in those intimate sessions. Watch them marvel at my diction, conviction, progression. Relevance in my descriptions got people wishing they could bring me back. But you ain't God and I'm okay with that. Perhaps my reward was having to wait for that. Lessons I learned while I established the way for that. I let it go. Watch me return this time around in front of the door. Like Do-Re-Mi, if I shall die with a la-di-do. Split it with my tribe and keep the music alive.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey, we in there.
what's happening? We
How you
in here.
doing?
I'm good. I'm up in the studio right now. It's just like me and sitting down with myself and saying, okay, how does this make you feel? And being honest with it, transparent. And I think a lot of people who have been going out fighting and going through so many traumatic experiences from a pandemic to like the thing, you have to be able to sit down and say, okay, where am I? What's going on in my head? I was, you know what I'm saying, I was not sleeping for real because I was like, dang, I don't want to fail. You know, so I'm just talking about all of that. So I'm about to record this first track, so.
Okay, let's go. I'm watching you.
I'm more Jiggy and Will Smith, a little spliff right behind my ear. Gift from one of my fans, it's one in my hand. I'm one with the man, I trust the universe. I'm one with the sand, like ash in the ashes, with dust in the pan. A sweet, off their feet, I creep like TLC, but keep that Mary Mel with me, a Grandmaster Flash. From the barrel blood of the tech, I snap like Fabo Net, cause my niggas down for life. Now who you gonna believe, or who you gonna receive? Jesus died on the cross. So you play the back and let the spirit take the lead. Thank God for that. I thank God for rap. Thank often that it ain't hard. In fact, it's kind of easy destroying these beasts that keep feeding me to gain need. I help the people breathe freely. It's like asthma, the vision's clear like plasma. Y'all produce like NASA. I'm organic and orgasmic. Stretch your shorty like fantastic. 4 flats in a damn mattress. We go back like tan lashes. When sunscreen, then he cut to the damn basket. Swish! Then the sounds of the fans clapping. They in the stands having dance battles. Like this ain't drumline, my love don't cost a thing, but my features do. You wouldn't dare harm but bare arms if they reach for you. Like my speakers do, protect my voice when I speak to you. To let them know this dragon blow smoke like a leaper do. Let the scope beam light up the temple like the have mercy on the people, they leaving you. The omnipotent arm of the architect outstretched, easily far-fetched. The greedy get car wrecked, I assure you. We duck sand like Affleck, been blind like Affleck. That was the disrespect. I get real grimy like old Biggie before Puff was Diddy. In Brooklyn, New York City, the victims they want justice, offender one more pity. Well, damn, they won't pity again. They go against who I am. They Robin Hood, I'm more Robin Hood. I ain't take away from anybody that ever cheated the game. It's facts. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a cipher on the record, and like crazy.
Yo.
Man, I'm just trying to like extend the outlook of how they looking at on the SIP. Like I want to be a lyricist from Mississippi. You feel me? Like I don't think they
already are. You got that sold up. That verse alone, what you just did up in there, dog. You said a mouthful. I mean, it's gonna take the community a minute to realize everything that you been said in all of those bars. That shit was dope as fuck.
Right. Yeah, man. And then I dropped like 2 days ago a little freestyle. And how I did it was I wrote all the lyrics out on the video. I put it on Instagram and stuff like that because I was like, man, I want to make sure.
Lord knows too.
Yeah, that Lord knows too. Yeah, I just wanted people to read along because I was like, man, I don't want them to miss nothing. You feel me?
Yeah.
I don't want them to miss nothing. But yeah, we at Bandwidth Studios. You feel me?
What's the name of it again?
Bandwidth Studios, Willpower Studio. You know Willpower, right?
You breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I hear you good.
I said, do you know Willpower?
I've heard the name. I feel like I'm familiar just through hearing the name, but I don't know him personally.
He was working with Crit early on. Josh, you got a lighter? He was working with Crit early on, and then now he's kind of developing artists. His daughter, Summer Morales, is an artist, but that's who Josh is working with now, Josh Waters.
Josh Waters, okay.
Yeah. So he up here, and that's who he's working with. So I've been in and out of here a little bit.
So is he from Mississippi as well?
Yeah, from Hattiesburg.
That's dope shit. That's dope shit. I can appreciate. Tell that brother I appreciate what he is doing.
Nah, for real. It's just a situation where, you know, it's a lot of people out here who transplanted to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So it creates a underground market to where people are just kind of like looking for the resources that maybe people in Atlanta don't want to necessarily give up. And so we created it, and then we have like a little Mississippi pub of, you know, out here.
That's what's up, and it probably feels a little bit like home too, huh?
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it does feel a lot like home.
So I want you real quick to walk me through the process of when you are getting ready to go to the studio, like when you're getting ready to walk up to that mic. Like, what are you doing that first hour when you're headed to the mic? How you getting your head right? How are
it's
you
like for me, it's like just being comfortable creatively. Like, I don't want to be in a position where I'm like thinking about this, thinking about that, because I'm a very like internal. I be in my head a lot, so it gets to the point where I have to like be aggressive with making myself get out of that mode, get out of that zone of where I'm not trying to fix every single problem in the world. I just focusing on the art, because like this is really my only this is like my safe place. Like, if I can get in here and be selfish a little bit. I don't get that opportunity very often. So
I love to hear you say that. That's very important for the Black man's mental health. And a lot of Black men don't tend to their mental health like that. So that's a great thing that you have a place where you can go and be selfish. We all, as humans, need some place, some moment that we can be selfish for ourselves. So that's real dope. I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah, no, it's like beautiful for me, because it's like I don't have to like be public. I don't have to be out and people see me going through it. I can kind of like internalize it and go through it in my own space, and then come out and be a leader, set an example and stuff like that, without having to like go through being overwhelmed and stuff. Like, I go through breakthroughs in the studio. Like, I really have breakthroughs in the studio, spiritual breakthroughs, because it's like this is the one place where I feel like I can really discuss things that I go through internally without judgment. It's unconditional reception. The microphone and the headphones give me unconditional feedback.
True.
They don't even care.
Therapy.
Yeah, for real, seriously. So that's what the album is about. It's me. It's like as if the microphone was my therapist, and then you don't hear the questions, but these are the questions a therapist would ask, and I just answer them into the microphone.
That's beautiful.
That's what this whole project is about.
So let me ask you this, as far as your creative process, because you were definitely a creator before you became a father. So how much has that impacted the way that your process goes? Being so observant, because I know you have to be hella observant being a father of a beautiful young princess. So how has it affected you?
I think it helped me get more comfortable with discussing uncomfortable situations between Black men and Black women, you know. So I was always at the forefront of uplifting like a young man who was attracted and, you know, who was spiritually attracted and physically attracted to Black women. But I don't think I reached the plateau of like going beyond the opening the door for saying ma'am and opening the door, stuff like that. Those are simple concepts that people can fly by with that could like get you by. It's just like passing the buck. When I had a daughter, it was like I'm adamant about finding out things that, you know, like I didn't really necessarily know about. Tone, trying to monitor someone's tone, like the situation with No Name and J. Cole. But now I could sit down with Cole and discuss and get him to understand. I feel like I can do that now because I sit down and listen to my daughter every single day, and I just listen because I think that's a position that men haven't gotten comfortable with. It's like you don't have to respond and you don't have to have the answer to everything. Sometimes it's just listening. Without the way that my microphone and my headphones listen to me, I want to get that to my daughter and to, you know, other women, to where, okay, if you want to express a a bad experience you had with a man before, I don't really necessarily have to point out what you did wrong or what caused you to have those adverse feelings. I just let you tell your experience, and then if you want my advice, if you want me to have input, then I provide it. But that's not a position for me to take or dictate. It's a position for me to be honored with, and I just understand that now.
That is very evolutionary. And I use that word intentionally because there's a difference between evolutionary and revolutionary. And as far as you coming to that realization that you don't have to respond, sometimes our position as humans and being in whatever relationship, it may be, whether it's father-daughter, friendship, relationship as far as your spouse or whoever, sometimes our position is to just listen. It's very deep to hear a Black man say that his daughter taught him how to listen and realize that you don't have to always respond. That's so dope, because you also realize that your mic and your headphone are your therapy for you to be able to get out whatever you may have had a response to. So you still get it out, still doing the work.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful process. Should be 5 of September, and like I can literally listen to my music and hear me being more aware. Like, now that I have clarity, it's like to be respectful too, like as a basis, as a foundational basis, and then in those particular situations, you obviously adjust accordingly. But I try to take that mindset into like every woman and every child is my responsibility, my direct responsibility. And with that like communal mindset, it's allowed me to grow beyond just being first level aware of what's going on with Black women. I like to think that I could write a book at this point because I have completely immersed myself in figuring out the plight of Black women because I'm raising one, you know what I'm saying? And it's that important. It's the most important thing that I've ever done in my life.
To know that you can feel like you're ready to write a book means that you know that you've done the work, and you know you also recognize that the work is also never done. It's
right.
Because she's a growing young lady, and as far as evolution is concerned, every day is a new journey for her, and you're there tuned into it, and that just makes it even more beautiful that a Black man has a different experience. Majority of the time, Black men are just, taking the back seat and just making sure that they're playing the protective role. But you're more so also being involved, protective and involved. That's very important. I actually made a status about my father this morning. And that's exactly how my father was. My father is very protective and very involved. And that creates a strong woman. So you are definitely doing a great job. I love the way that you are handling and driving that car as a father. It's beautiful.
I appreciate that.
So for you to be continuing, Lord knows, why are you continuing it in a sequel, basically? Why are you doing it?
It's like an ode, it was an ode to how adamant I've been about these things that everybody's speaking on now, kind of like prior to, don't get it twisted. Like, since 2012 with the situation with Trayvon Martin, I think that this has been at the forefront, but not the way it is in 2020. And I think that it was an old, me referencing the fact that this has been before. The first Lord Knows was directly about this situation. It starts off, I'm not surprised how many truths I can hide in the flows. I listen to this beat with my eyelids closed. The sirens go where the violence goes, and you never know. You can never tell. And that's me saying, Lord knows, I've seen this a million times. So 4 years later, if I make Lord Knows 2, I've seen it another million times. And since I made Lord Knows 1, and that's what I wanted. And except the last time, the first Lord Knows, I had my head down, and I was like, what can I do? This, Lord knows, is me doing something. That's the reason I had the Bane reference, holding the politician's mask up, because I'm like, this is the position I've taken now. If you're not doing your job, if you're not serving the people, and you've been put in a position of public service, you're going to get called out, Bane style. revolution. I'm gonna pull up to the Attorney General doorstep. I'm gonna pull up to the DA doorstep. I'm gonna pull up to the governor doorstep. My little brother gonna lead the revolution to get the flag taken down. All of this, I'm not taking a position to put my head down no more. I'm revolting because if you listen to what Bain said, you adapted to darkness. I was born in it. You adapted racial injustice. You adapted being aware of Black Lives Matter and what that means. And I ain't had no choice. I had to live that since the age of 5 years old. I've been scared to get seen by the police. I didn't know why. That's just how real it is. Because if the police would drive down the neighborhood, we used to hide behind the cars. I seen an Instagram video of a kid doing that, and I didn't realize that I had been doing that since the age of 5 without even questioning why.
Children feeling the need to do that exact thing. And as far as you protesting and going to the DA's office, the DA's building, and going to the Capitol, did you know that it was going to get to that point? Or when you started like your revolution for Ricky, did you think that it was going to be an easy process or what?
We were initially going to Minneapolis. We were initially, I was going to get my videographer and camera guy to come with me, and I just wanted to get on the front line and just do like a journalist-like trip to just go get, the exact visual of what's going on there. And halfway to coming to Mississippi to pick him up and to go to Minneapolis, I heard about this in Ricky's case with prejudice. And I'm just like, obviously the city's devastated, but as a leader, it's a small city. It's 25,000 people in Columbus. And, I can humbly but legitimately say that I'm one of the biggest artists that ever come out of Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? I mean, out of Columbus, Mississippi. Or in Mississippi in general as well. But in Columbus, Mississippi specifically. Yeah, but in Columbus, Mississippi specifically. So I felt like I wouldn't be genuine to go drive across the country, to kind of put my 2 cents into this situation when I have a situation literally in my neighborhood, like in my grandma's backyard type situation. And right. It was just, it was important for me to at least show people that they could say something. And so when I went out there first day, I just went out there by myself. I just went out there with a megaphone and was like, I'm not accepting this. I'm not accepting you saying 3 days after this man gets choked out on camera for almost 9 minutes, you're going to turn on top of Ahmaud Arbery, on top of Breonna Taylor, on top of Mike Brown, on top of Trayvon Martin, on top of Eric Garner, on top of it's tiring. But now you spitting in my face. Like now you like, you basically saying, yeah, I want everybody, I want all y'all, I want y'all to be hurt. And I'm like, it's kind of a hole in the egg. If go roll another one up out of there. And my bad. Go ahead. What you were saying? And
it also says that you feel like, hey, you can do this. You have to free kill.
And you could do that until, it was just bad timing. It was bad timing. It was just bad timing. It was like the perfect storm. Not to say that I was any more of an instrument than anybody else. I just was a vessel of God. But because of and Ahmaud Arbery and the national pandemic, I just sitting on my hands anyway. It's just a perfect storm for you to say 3 days after that situation took place, boom, throw this in your face. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because since Emmett Till, Mississippi remains the last and only state to not indict the homicide of an African-American man or woman in the case of a law officer. We the only state, as in Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, and Tennessee, which are the other brothers of the Confederacy, have all at least indicted one. Because are you going to sit up here and say Mississippi is the moral compass to be the highest epitome of ethics and moral, to have no officer of the law ever be wrong in the death of in a homicide of an African-American man or woman? I personally don't believe that's the case. I think it's more systemic, organized through the government. And so I felt like we had to call it out from the top. There was no point of me getting that officer locked up if the same attorney general, the same lawyer, the same DA gonna be in a position to do this the next time. I'm like, no. How could you dismiss with prejudice a case that you had open for 4 years that was indicted, as in there was enough evidence to indict it, but now there's not enough evidence to even keep it open in the future that we find some evidence?
with a video of this man saying he was gonna kill this man the next time he saw him, there's no way I could have walked away from that. And I gotta look at this man's daughter. You feel me? I gotta walk past this man's daughter in the grocery store. I gotta walk past his mama at church or at the basketball game. It's a small city. It's not like I don't get a chance to avoid this. I gotta look at it and face it every single time I'm home. And I just couldn't accept that. I couldn't just walk away from that.
I applaud you for even, stepping in your own way. That was definitely one of those lean not on your own understanding situations, because you definitely had a mission set, and then something stopped you and made you go and see about your home. And that's important, because his daughter definitely is never gonna forget shit. That entire day, like that protest day, that was like one of the most emotional days I've ever experienced in my life.
My daughter wasn't either, though. That's the thing about it, is like, my daughter was there, you feel me? And people pulled up on us with guns, and like, this was a real situation.
Yeah.
And not that it was me that my daughter saw, but that it was me that my daughter saw being obedient to God, that would empower her to in the face of fear. I'm not going to get up here and say I wasn't afraid. I mean, obviously we're dealing with Mississippi, so I mean, I don't even have to explain or expound on the ramifications of speaking out as a young black man with these free dreads on my head and rapping and smoking.
Especially when you have politicians talking about you in news articles too.
Practicing what I preach. And so, I just didn't want to be a hypocrite and be speaking on having faith and walking abundantly in your circumstance without being able to do that. And I think that it just helped me level up. As you say, it was an internal evolution, like a self-evolution, to where now when I go speak on the microphone, it's like it empowers the things that I've already been saying. But now that I've walked them, it adds more spirit to the words that I'm saying. It's like people actually saw me doing those things. It's going to provide more credibility. It's like it's the missing ingredient that I didn't know I needed until I was obedient, and then God gave it to me anyway. Like Proverbs, I went in asking for knowledge and wisdom, and it was like, okay, well, because you asked for knowledge and wisdom, I'll make you rich anyway. That's what I feel. Like, that's how I feel.
Whoa. That was deep. That was hella deep. Because you definitely being obedient to the mission at Ford, and you're doing an amazing job with carrying out the mission, because you definitely don't look like a hypocrite. You look like you are walking in your purpose, and you're going forth for a mission that needs to be accomplished for all of us. It's important that all of us saw you doing what you did, and then weeks later, the flag came down. You can't deny that.
He's my little brother. Colin Hill is my little brother.
See?
People don't know that.
The work
behind closed doors, I was just putting a barrier in his back. Like, all of them seeing, us take that first step, it helped them be like, man, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had to do something now because my brother did something. You feel me? And because of that, it just empowered. It just gave them momentum.
Do I feel my voice is heard? It really depends on the environment.
I oftentimes feel like my voice is overlooked because of my skin color.
I don't always feel heard, but at Black with No Chaser, I know that my city,
femininity,
opinion,
ideology,
queerness,
culture,
status,
perspective,
hair, and my background
is safe here. Is safe here.
Is safe here.
Is safe here. Black with No Chaser, a platform made by Black creators for unapologetic Black content.